Good morning, Mr. Ashraf.
Morning, Mr. Ashraf.
How many of you in the team?
We are total have 6 in our team.
Alright. Alright. You guys, thanks
Yeah.
for your time this morning.
It's us that should be thanking you for having us for opportunity to have the interview here.
Yep, no worries. Okay, so how can we go? I'll just to answer the question that you have shared with me yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a bit internet a bit laggy
So I think
here.
there are 3 areas that yeah.
Yes,
you hear me?
yes. So yeah, sir, can sure.
Alright. So let's start. So I can see that there are 3 areas that we are covering here. On the training and development, conflict resolutions, and another one is on the org structure. Okay. I may answer from multiple experience that I have because the current organization that I've been, I'm only been here for about 5 to 6 months. So I may have to draw some of my experience from the previous organization that I've been. Yeah, I hope it's okay with with all of you. The line cannot be clear, so I will just drop my video so that you can hear my voice clearly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, no
Yes, sir.
problem.
Alright, good. Sorry, because I'm definitely not in KL. I'm the more I mean one of the most northern part of the peninsula. I'm in a place called Rantau Panjang in Kelantan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the line here is not as good as in KL. Alright. Okay. Let's go to the first questions on the learning and development, on the training and development here. So the first question that you shared with me, how was your company support employees while they have problem in training during the lockdown? So the problem in the training during the pandemic lockdown is it doesn't it didn't started with the the company itself. It started from the training provider. Because they usually do the training over classrooms, events and conferences and whatnot. So when the pandemic hit, lockdown came, they can't do anything. Um, and that's where they have to adjust themselves. That's where they come up with the virtual training programs, virtual classes, virtual meetings and whatnot. So from our side, how do we support our people when it comes to the when it comes to the training during the lockdown? So the training is that pretty much more on the supporting in terms of the say the peripherals that we're going to use. For example, computers, laptops. I think for some organizations, not all of their staff have laptops on hand. Some organizations they allow um, their staff who are using a desktop to their desktop so they can do work and virtual trainings from. So that's on the how we support them. We provide the flexibility. We allow them to bring home their computers, and then of course we also leverage on the tools like Microsoft Teams, Zoom, where to be honest, before the pandemic we hardly use them. The pandemic hit, so most of our trainings are either done over Teams, over Zoom, and I think that's where new platforms came up, new training platforms came up, so they can just use a web-based platform as well. So that's how the company support. from there.
Yes, sir. Until now, I think there's no any other question. You may proceed with the next question.
Sure. Correct. So the second one, does your company's employees use single loop or double loop learning during and after the pandemic? During the pandemic, we don't have much time to spend to go with the double loop learning. So we always use single loop learning. Because of the pandemic, the company has to learn to be more agile. So we allow our people to make mistakes, to fail, but they have to fail fast and they have to pick up quickly. So we don't want to be in a situation where there's a lot of analysis paralysis. We spend too much on planning. We didn't end up we didn't do anything. So the pandemic has taught us on how to be agile. We have a lot of reiterations to our learnings. We do this, we find it's not working, then we try the other way quickly. We go with the with the approach of try and error. So that's how the companies mostly did during and after the pandemic. Of course, we have much time to do double loop learning, but the single loop learning still prevails because the pandemic has made business more uncertain. We can't spend too much time on planning. We find there is something wrong there is something wrong that needs to be corrected. We corrected it, and then after that, if we find other loopholes, other gaps, then we will address it as well. So there's a lot of reiteration process basically. So that's for the question number 2. Double loop learning, I don't think so. We are going to use it even in future. Okay. If you have any question, just you can just interrupt me. I'll go to the next question, number 3. On training and development, is there any training provided to employees, and how was it done during the pandemic? The pandemic has provided us opportunity to do a lot more internal training, especially when the company is not placed at one location. For example, in the current organization that I've been, Alliance for Financial Inclusion, we have offices in Luxembourg, in Cote d'Ivoire, and also in El Salvador, apart from KL. So the pandemic has provided us more opportunity to do internal training through the platforms, Teams, Zoom, and whatnot. Although we still have to adjust when it comes to the time zone, of course. So is there any issue during the training? Yes, sometimes the problems comes to when it comes to the internet connection, the speed, a lot of latency, depends on where you're coming from. In some part of Africa, if they want to get internet connection as fast as us, they have to spend quite a few $100s for that. So so sometimes we have to adjust. Maybe we have to do it during the non-peak hours, so that they can leverage on the good internet speed. So these are some of the issues. Sometimes, of course, for some of our leaders or even some of our veterans who are not used to to do meetings online, they have at first they have to adjust themselves how to use Zoom, how to use Teams. We do provide workshops or mini workshops or classes to taught them on how can they use Teams, for example, when they use Teams, how can they share the screen, how can they share the video and audio and whatnot. Yeah. So I mean, of course, the younger employee wouldn't have any much problem. I think the older ones have a tough time to adjust. But I think they eventually did it. Correct. So that's on question 3. The last question on the training and development. What kind of opportunity has your company benefit from the changes by analyzing, optimizing TND after the MCO ended? So after the MCO ended, of course, after 2 years in the pandemic, during the lockdown, the the physical or the face-to-face classrooms or trainings will still have values. Not all kind of trainings and development can be done online, to be honest. Some kind of trainings, because for example, when you have a face-to-face training, sometimes the participants will have questions not during the class, but between the breaks. So, and usually when they have some these informal discussions with the trainers or the speakers, that's where they have a lot of interactions. They have more questions compared to when you do it online. Because when you do it online, if, for example, if you're doing for 1.5 hours to 2 hours, these are the time frame that you only have. If you have other questions in between that or after that, you might have a challenge to pose it and then get the answers immediately. So, to answer the questions, what kind of opportunity? The opportunity that we have is that we can rebalance our training expenditure. Of course, when you do training virtually, the cost will be cheaper compared when you do it, face-to-face or physical. But we will try to strike a balance. Some of the trainings they are pretty much straightforward. You can just do it online. For example, if you do a training of advanced Microsoft Excel, for example, something like technicals, that one where you have to share screens and then with everyone. So that's more practical for you to do it online rather than you do it face to face. But there are some other programs, for example, the simplest one would be team buildings. You can't do team buildings virtually. It won't bring any benefits. We have tried. We have seen some of the companies doing it. It has an impact, but not as much as we want when we do it. The team building face to face. Yeah. Okay. So that's on the last question on the training and development. So before I move to on the second part, conflict resolutions, any